The art of living a soul based, divinely guided life. This is today's topic of the Love Satsang. And I welcome you very much to that topic that is so dear to my heart because it has been my journey. And if you've been in my field, it is always coming back to soul. And yeah, I would love to, or I was even guided to share about a soul based life, mainly also because, in my opinion, it is what is behind all the transitioning of humanity on this planet, from ego to soul, from 3D consciousness to 5D consciousness. And to do that transition from 3D to 5D, or from our current, still turbulent state of being into a higher vibrational humanity, society system, we are called, lots of us, yeah, have chosen, even our soul has already chosen to be part of that shift by realigning to our soul. Maybe soul is not a word that is very resonating with you. Maybe you just want to use the word your true essence, your true nature, your core frequency, whatever. All for me is soul, which we can actually grasp a little bit more than just energy or frequency. And it's in case also like a being, like an entity. Obviously, we are the soul embodied through our body. But you can, yeah, have this communication with your soul whilst being here incarnated, and after a while you also get to the point of infusing your being with your soul. So soul based living, divinely guided life, that is our today's topic, because also, second reason, it is that I call forth all of these beautiful beings who are questioning their life, who are maybe circulating and cycling in healing work, transformation, inner work, and still not really seeing the outcome of it. Yeah. And that's also why I did last topics, the last satsangs topics about timeline jumping, and why you may still not have reflected the reality that you wish, although you have done your internal work. It's of course all connected as always. And yeah, for me, a soul-based life actually doesn't necessarily mean that your reality is always reflecting that you're internally aligned. Sometimes we need this friction to grow into some new version of ourselves. And soul-based living is all about coming back to your truth, coming back to why you are here on this planet, incarnated, your soul purpose, following your internal nudges, intuition, guidance, and not only your own, but also higher connected to source, to that intelligence that flows through us. And putting it back into this larger picture, we have as a collective really disconnected from this wisdom of our soul and the higher wisdom of the divine. And that is why we have this collective searching and wanting to transform, wanting to heal, wanting to manifest, wanting to, yeah, make something happen, a change, because we feel a mismatch between what we subconsciously oftentimes, or yeah, the majority like just have like glimpses of it, still remembering something, what is possible for us, what is possible as our human species, you can say, on this planet, because we have been oscillating all the time, and we have already been there kind of in some way or other, that we lived in harmony and peace and oneness and community, and yeah, also in community with, in communion with nature, in immersing ourselves with our gifts and talents, and just what we long for so deeply, a heart-centered loving space where we can truly unfold in our most natural and nourishing, fulfilling version. That's why a lot of us souls, from a soul perspective, we have been incarnating to help that shift. And if you are one who is the black sheep of the family, who feels weird, who feels off, who has always been the odd one out, that is exactly usually the key points that you have been. Yeah, no, I don't want to be, yeah, the same like chosen, but in a way you have chosen to be here to do that, because you can. Your soul is powerful to do all these transformations, and you get your insights already. But my wish is to make it for you more, yeah, easier, more accessible, that you are in communion with your soul, so that you don't have to figure out or question yourself, but that at some point, because when you're soul based, soul living, it is a flow, it is organic, it is feeling like you don't have to put so much effort in it at some point. Yes, before that, yeah, maybe you are still in the stages of what I already discussed in previous satsangs: dark night of the soul, yeah, tower moments, turmoil, inner turmoil, void states, in between states, between old identity, new identity. We always transition, of course, but there's often times in that bigger phase of your evolution one very hardcore in between state where you're really upgrading your system, where you're integrating, where you're shedding so many layers of also past lives and karmic stuff, that you get that you get the availability, or that you will become available for the subtleties that are meant for you to be activated inside of you. Yeah, clearing out the old, inviting in the new. And that is also part of still our current time quality, that a lot of people are shedding layers, doing the inner healing work, shadow work, but on the other spectrum also the light work, that they infuse themselves with upgrades, updates, downloads. I've spoken also about that in the reprogramming yourself episode. That you very intentionally even say, okay, this is where I see myself, or this is what I feel is meant for me. This is my life purpose, my soul's purpose. So I see the direction already, that you invite in what is truly yours. Yeah. Letting go, inviting in is always a process, continuous process, but it refines over time. To live a soul based, divinely guided life, the title actually already says it a little bit. These are two aspects. Yeah, I've tapped into soul already, so let's stay with the soul first. Your soul infuses your entire being. And maybe you have listened, watched to something from me before. I see it a little bit as if your soul is using your human avatar to carry out its mission. Yeah, to operate in this dimension physically with all these senses that we have, to experience, to explore, to grow, to expand, to mainly also see itself from different angles and perspectives. So this body is just a tool, in the sense, for your soul to navigate life. And intrinsically, that means, in the truest nature of our being, we already operate on soul. We are already soul based. There's nothing else than our souls inhabiting our body. Yeah. So, of course, if you have like weird attached beings or spirits to you, there's something hooked onto you. But beyond that, even still, your soul is shining and operating this life. The issue is so not that you are not soul based, but that you don't see it, or that you don't use it. Most of the people, majority of people, operates based on society's laws, conditioning, what is seen as normal, usual. That's something you do like this, without big questioning, or if they question, some people also have not the courage to go different path, to really step into their what they know, into their journey, into their path, soul aligned path. So you are soul aligned, soul based in essence. It's only about shedding all that it blocks that natural state of being. And that's the current collective work, what we are doing, and we have been doing for a couple of years also, to shed illusions, to look through the illusions, the wheel of forgetting, and to remember and reclaim these parts that we remember, to integrate, activate them again inside of us. And the more we do that, the more you do that, clearing out the old, inviting in what is already yours, claiming, reclaiming, the more you come back to that essence that is always and has always been vibrating beneath you. And so by doing your inner work, you automatically align back to that soul-aligned, soul-based living. And in my opinion, it is a natural way of our being. So if I see it to very long ahead future, maybe it takes not that long, but for many people, the majority of people it will take some time till they are again connected. If they are still entangled in all these, it's from their perspective sometimes easier. I feel like they conditioned themselves, or they have been conditioned, that it is easier to follow the crowd, to follow what is not being questioned. It has always been like this, and so forth. So for all those who already see there's something different, there's something more true to myself, there's something more aligned deeper for me out there or in here, these are the courageous ones. That's I always say. It takes at the beginning, especially for those who start that path, who start that journey. It really takes courage and energy at first to look inside of you so much and to face your own shadows, to face whatever maybe in the past you have neglected, suppressed, or didn't want to feel through, to look at it in the mirror, so to say, of your own face and vibration, to see what is what is your true essence, and what has been put onto you that is time to release. So the first waves of these brave souls, it takes some more effort, and the more of us do that work, the easier, of course, it gets, because the whole collective energy, the whole collective frequency raises. So it's easier to hook onto that higher frequency, so to say, and also to get mirrored back something from interactions with these people. Means, again, remember, you are already soul-based, because your soul inhabits your body, or your body is contained in that soul energetic field. It is just a way of remembering and realigning or reclaiming. And for that, it is important to do your inner work, which consists of shadow work and light work. Shadow work, clearing out all what is not your truth, what is not your true essence. Namely, very practically, inner child healing, reparenting, healing your feminine, masculine energies, balancing them into inner union, karma clearing, cord cutting, healing, or like releasing toxic contracts or karmic contracts within especially the scope of relationships, romantic connections, and so forth. And then we have the light work, also inner work. Sometimes maybe it's not called in this inner work, because oftentimes people still focus so much on shadow work to first get rid of the dirt and dust out of their system. But light work is also inner work, and that means, yes, I reclaim to be in my power. I allow myself to be unapologetically myself. I allow my truth to vibrate through me. I allow and I receive. It's a lot about allowing, reclaiming, receiving, remembering, activating. That's light work. And of course, also service to the others, service to the collective in your way. So inner work is a prerequisite, actually, to become back into your soul. And what it also contributes is inner work, of course, connection to the divine. Once you are connected to your soul, it's easier to connect to the divine. Sometimes it may also be the other way around, that you first have a connection with the divine, and then you see, there's this kind of in-between essence of my being, closer to your core and to your felt experience, which is more your soul-based view. Because inner work also clears your channel for to be able to be connected, not only connected, but to the divine, but receive divine guidance, it is important to have a clear channel. What do I mean by that? You are always a channel. Like, if we see it in a hierarchical way, our mind understands it a little bit better. You're connected both to heaven and earth, so to say. So you bridge both, both ways, up and down, so that you have a crown up into the sky, into higher dimensions, and you root it down into this earth plane on this planet. We are all a channel, always, already here. But the more you are conditioned and programmed with things that are not you, you are distorted. It's a distorted channel, and you receive distorted answers. You receive maybe even no answer at all, or no guidance at all. Or your guidance system is rather based on what your parents told you, what your friends do. Outsourcing. It is outsourcing your navigation system. Divinely guided means your navigation system is the divine itself, source, God, universe, the higher intelligence. And that maybe needs a bit of an expanded view of your being, because we are it. It is us, just that you are a very specific outlet for it. With very specific life path, very specific traits and characteristics, so that it can experience it itself in so many different viewpoints on this planet and beyond. You are connected with the divine also, same as you are always connected with your own soul. Of course, there is no disconnection in that sense, but it needs a clearing of any distortions, any noise, any distractions, any outsourcing. And you do that with this inner work, which is often also why someone who is on that path, including you, maybe if you watch this, is often sent into isolation or in solitude, in times and periods of where you are very much alone, or where you feel alone, even amongst people, or you don't even want to have contact with people. Because isolation lets you feel your own energy again. Oftentimes people get so easily distracted and their energy is dispersed, or branches out into different things, to-dos, friends, tadas. And the whole point in reconnection is, first of all, that you are so much rooted and anchored in yourself that even that distractions afterwards cannot really carry you away from your soul's path, from what you know as your truth, your essence and truth. So isolation is very often necessary on that path of a soul-aligned, soul-based living and divinely guided life, because then you are reconnected. I also, link it to the void state. The void state is oftentimes, and I have one episode also, one Love Satsang live transmission about that, if that is something you're interested in. I often connect that void state actually with that phase, and also dark night of the soul, dark night of the ego more so, with this disconnection from, or plugging out of, the usual setting and system and environment, to come back to yourself and plug in again, reconnect back into truth, into the divine, into source energy, so that you are able to actually afterwards distinguish, this is really truly my essence, not false programming, and have, whenever you are out there, a reference point inside of you. This is my truth, and this might resonate or not. And if it doesn't resonate, that you're so much inside of yourself, unapologetically, radically even sometimes, that you don't fall for something that someone or society is trying to talk you into. Therefore, a soul-based and divinely guided life is also very much, in the beginning at least, in our current time quality, seen by many people as rebellious, as someone who dares to step out of the system and goes different path, think out of the box, and is visionary, and therefore also a leader for more truth, for love, for light, for soul, and for the grand remembrance, for returning back to our to our natural state of being. And if I tap into like multiple years ahead, the more of us do that, the more reconnect, the more also it is not seen as rebellious, but as normal, as something you cannot really even say no to or resist, because you see these people who are reconnected with their soul, who are divinely guided, they actually live a much more fulfilling, abundant, nourishing, purposeful life. And it's even logically, it's even logical that if you are connected with this true core of your being and your truth, and you remember, this is actually why I incarnated. This is my path. This is my purpose. This is my passion. Yeah, purpose and passion are often also connected, if not always. My passion. And I want to go after that. Nothing can stop me. Nothing left and right is here to distract me from that, because I love myself so much. I'm devotion to my soul so much that I cannot accept anything less, that I cannot accept any other path. That is at some point where you come to, from my experience at least, that anything that feels misaligned will bring you into contraction, into anger, into, a little bit like a child that doesn't want to do something their parents tell them because it knows their own truth, rebellion against something. Or boredom, burnout, or bore out. All of this is misalignment. And the more fine-tuned you are to, this is actually who I am and this is what I'm here for, the more you will feel like I cannot accept, can't go that way. I have to go my path, which is a good thing, of course. But it's not always easy from the human perspective. It brings challenges, especially still this time quality where a lot of people are more in that phase, I would say, of in between, of void, of trying to cope with whatever comes up from the subconscious and from the depth of their being, inner work, shadow work, especially in that sense. Because still that is just collectively, maybe for you, I don't know where you are at the moment on your journey, and you're most welcome to comment on that on this video, that it is a journey. Of course, you cannot just finger snip and then you are there. So that it might be that what I'm telling you rings somehow a bell, but you see like, this is kind of like far ahead still from my journey. And that's okay, because your soul chose something very specific, and especially in terms of what you are transforming and transmuting, purging, and most of the time, even not only for yourself, but for your lineage and for the collective and for parallel past versions of yourself, past lifetime things. So it doesn't mean in that sense, if it takes longer on your path and you maybe compare yourself to others, which you in the first place shouldn't do, to just focus on yourself, but I'm just mentioning it to be okay with it, however long it takes with you, for you, that it is your path, and that you have to honor that you have to honor that if you're in devotion to your soul. It's kind of like, okay, I'm still here circulating in the same pattern. And sometimes it is also a little bit training our trust and our patience. Sometimes we may see, this is actually my truth, but maybe there are other orchestrations still happening that influence your alignment, or your alignment influences other parts of this whole game of life, so that sometimes it may feel you are stalled, you are delayed, or you're stuck in some form, but it just means that maybe some other things are not arranged yet. Yeah. Soul aligned, soul based is pretty much also the same. And divinely guided also means that you have your own navigation system. I already said a little bit like this, your own navigation system, and not outsourcing it to other outer voices. Your soul becomes your navigation system, not your ego. That's one challenge also on that path, that you catch yourself more and more. When do you operate or decide based on your ego, which is often fear, survival, comparison, judgment, mine, yeah, separation? Or when you have plugged into your soul and use that navigation system, where you get these insights, sometimes very subtle, or from the divine, also that navigation system where you outside have specific synchronicities, certain signs, guided. We are always guided. We just have to sharpen our perception, and that makes it really easier. Because if we think in terms of ego based living, it's not only very low frequency often, like fear, doubt, worry, shame, guilt, all these, yeah, from a frequency level, lower vibrational states of being or emotions. But it is also oftentimes more a fight for or against something, or for or against life itself. The ego is in constant search also for problems to solve, for what needs to be done, for your worth proving, providing, showing off, doing things to be loved and cared for. And in this soul based living, also tied to 5D consciousness, it is about already knowing you are worth of everything that you truly desire from your soul. It is about unconditional love, to learn that on your way, to love without judgment, without attachment, or over attachment at least, yeah. Without making someone smaller or putting someone on the pedestal, but seeing everyone as they are in the whole collective, including you, as one. It is about abundant thinking, about there's always enough and more. It is about choosing from internal alignment instead of looking outside. What would my neighbor do? What would my friend do? What would the person do I admire? But truly being so clear about yourself that there's no other navigation system anymore. And of course, also again, here to mention, it is a journey, and it is not like this here. It is just from me, for you, or from my soul to your soul, a nudge of remembering that, of remembering you have your own navigation system. And no one can take that also from you, because once you are back on track with your soul and the divine, you are not easily influenced, or not at all at some point. You know that. And I would even argue, once you're so much in tune with your soul, you rather would, yeah, very extreme, but you rather would die than follow something that's not your truth. And of course, I can also argue you don't have to die anyways if you're here still having a purpose. And if you are on that path of soul alignment, soul based living, divine reconnection, you are needed. And you won't just be, yeah, out of the blue, fall down and be gone. That's not possible if you are needed, and you are. And it's also a different time quality, where we as a collective, and also even if we see it from the earth perspective, if we see earth as a living being, we all kind of like agreed to make that shift, to play that game in that way, to really, yeah, say like, oh, okay, we have enough of this density and against each other. Let's exhale and come back to who we truly are, or the more reconnected the more reconnected version. I mean, because we are everything in a way also. Even the darkness is inside of us. It lives through us, with us. But we can say it's a more reconnected version of ourselves, reconnected to source. And source is always oneness, all that is. It's inclusive, it's non-dual even, where we don't distinguish between the one and the other, but have integrated into wholeness back again. Yeah. And if we see it a bit more also practical again, yeah, I mean, I tap a lot also in the higher dimensions of seeing life from soul, and I can really recommend that, because then you can also detach from your human storyline, where a lot of people also get sometimes stuck in victim mentality and overthinking, being somewhere where they don't want and don't find a way out. But if we want to bring it down here to earth, it's really practically just sitting with yourself and knowing yourself and reflecting on situations also and interactions, connections, how you feel, what you think, what internally in your body arises, simple things where you are only asked to take time for that, to take out time from your day. And even, yeah, that's why morning ritual or practice and evening ritual or practice is beneficial for a lot of people, because these are the time frames we are, yeah, especially right after getting up, or like not being fully awake and before fully going to sleep or fully falling asleep, windows of, yeah, windows of our mind is more addressed, and therefore not that active. I mean, not that active, and therefore also our ego not that active, our individuality or this identity that we play here on this earth, so that you are naturally more inclined, aligned with your soul in these time frames. But even though at some point, yeah, look out maybe for some, at some point it doesn't really matter what time of the day you take out. Maybe it's even the lunch day, daylight, or like sitting in the sun at some point on your day, and that already can reconnect you just with the present moment. So the present moment is actually also the keyword, as always, to tap into that frequency, that energy that is here now, always, to slow down, to allow yourself to rest and be, to be. The soul is already, it's vibrating. And also, speaking of being and doing, we have been conditioned so much to do something, to be productive, to have an outcome. But I would argue that when you are aligned with soul and divinely guided, you act in precision. And that is not about how many hours you work or how much you do and produce, but you are very specific. You're very fast in that way also, because you have just tapped into, like, okay, this is instruction. Yeah, coming back to our human avatar as a computer. I received that guidance. This is kind of like a divine instruction for the human to carry out. And then it takes some training, yeah, for a while, to switch your blah blah mind a little bit off, so that you can not only listen and hear that inner guidance, but also act upon it. Yeah, sometimes we hear things and like, I don't know, this doesn't really feel logical at this point in time, or not logical at all, or this is not actually the path I wanted to go. But then to switch that off and surrender and trust, and like, okay, this guidance maybe even came more often than once, then it has, of course, a meaning to follow it in some way. It's like, okay, I take these steps and I trust, and I say, like, okay, if I'm about to take that step, please take care of XYZ, maybe even, so that you are carried through another process than you originally thought. And at some point, it becomes so much easier, as if you can finally exhale and think like the ego wanted to control everything, plan everything, be a specific way, do it a specific way, achieve something, yeah, see yourself. All these very forward movement things aligned with soul and divinely guided is actually quite laid back. It's like, okay, I can actually just flow and be, as long as I don't receive a guidance. And when I receive that guidance, then I act accordingly with precision, not leaning back in the sense of not doing nothing, but more so to be very aware and internally, maybe even ask internally questions to your soul, to the divine. What do I need to know right now? Or what is the next step on my journey? To really have a communication, yeah, when we see it higher in a hierarchy again, to have a communication from your human standpoint, your brain connected to your higher self, to your soul, to the divine, that you receive the answers from that, yeah, from that vertical line. And then it's like a download, like an insight, like, okay, this is why, or this is the next step. It's really a practice. It's really a practice in the beginning, as so many things are a practice. And it becomes so beautiful because at some point you feel your soul or you feel yourself. Your soul is already here, but it's like as if you're, blurred human ego infused self that has been operating on this for a long time finally falls, crumbles off, and you see the beauty of your natural being, and that you can dance in your own energy again, that you can immerse yourself in this rich wisdom that you already have. Wisdom from such a deep place. Sometimes you may even think like, wow, does that come from me? And that's how we can channel. This is how other channels you may know channel, because they are connected. They are connected to their soul. They are connected to the divine or other beings sometimes, although for me it's all just the same energy in a very high view, that you can download your own answers. You don't have to explain that to anyone, what you download, or even not to yourself, your ego, your little human mind. It then becomes also a practice again to trust and surrender, and to walk sometimes, that is the case, to walk blindfolded. Like, okay, I trust that now. I received that message and it feels so true. It feels so raw and true for me. I'm doing that now. Also to counter ask what could happen. What is the worst case scenario that could happen? And if you didn't try, then you wouldn't really know. So it really is a training of afterwards, after your inner work, or in simultaneously with your inner work, of course, it's always going on, to sit with that connection, to have a communication regularly each day. It's not like, okay, I've now done my inner work, I've done my shadow work, I've done my light work, and I've reconnected and I had one time a communication, that's it. And then I go about my daily life again. Yeah, that's not the case. A soul-based, divinely guided life, that's your way of being. It's your way of being to always be in communion with your soul. It's even also, I would say, at some point, it's not that you feel you are this identity or this limited physical being. You feel your vastness again, your limitlessness. And you, for others, you may seem very courageous, very self-confident, very much like, okay, he, she knows, they know who they are, what they stand for. And then also your soul purpose gets more and more online. Your soul mission comes more and more online because you activate and reclaim a lot inside of you, what is yours, to birth here into this earth. And that is what we need. We need souls, not only being connected with soul and source, but also to walk this path here on the physical plane in their soul's divine essence and mission. That's why I framed it soul-based living or soul-aligned life. It is not a spiritual practice in that sense of I just dedicate some minutes on the day for it, or I go to a yoga studio and sit on my yoga mat or meditate for a few minutes. That's beautiful and part of it somehow. But it is more so to make it the way of living, to make it your way of living. To what I always say, to become a living and breathing, being of your soul, walking and breathing your soul into earth through your physical form. And maybe that's also, I repeat myself sometimes also in these transmissions, because it's a concept that takes some time to understand, to really grasp. A concept that for me is very second nature, because it came through me in that sense. And it helps me and helped me so much to live a life that feels natural, authentic, and true for me. And as I say, it's not at all always easy. And it is not what maybe social media sometimes suggests, that you each day then sit on a pool and enjoy the luxury of the material world. It's not that way, because the soul doesn't judge in that way. It rather counts in how much can I grow from that. And growth often also needs contraction, because after the contraction, once you go through contraction, you can expand, and even more than you have been before. So even a soul-based or soul-aligned life, even if you follow divine guidance, it can lead to periods of life that feel challenging, that feel painful, that feel sad, that feel as if you are like cursing life that you followed guidance, but the result is not what your limited human mind or ego even expected. But looking back at these moments, then, once you journeyed out of this challenge, looking back, then it makes sense. All is threaded, of course, orchestrated in a way that is just genius. It's just genius. What a soul-based and divinely guided life is, above all, also, it's just nourishing. It is, no matter what you go through, no matter which path you are on, and even if you feel like I somehow lost sight of what's my true purpose, even then you feel like actually just this present moment and me vibrating and being is already my purpose. Sometimes we also tap too much into this is the service for this collective, I want to change something, this is my mission, I want to infuse everyone with this wisdom, or whatever it is for you. Sometimes it's just be yourself and be the transmission. That's actually one of the highest acts, I would say, and that's also why I framed it the art of being soul-based or soul-aligned, the art of living a soul-based, divinely guided life, because it's truly an art of just being, vibrating, transmitting, sharing. And wherever you are, no matter if that is a perceived path you should be on from your limited human mind or not, that it is exactly only your transmission is needed, your vibration, your energy, you as you are. The path is not always as important. It's more so that wherever you are true to yourself, which also includes things very down to earth like values, your gifts, your talents, being you in your yes and no, owning that, what you want and what you desire and what you don't tolerate, your boundaries, standards. We have a lot of things that come actually here together from different concepts. But in essence, I feel also the spiritual path, spiritual awakening is exactly about that, in our time quality at least. It is about coming back home to your soul and to source, reconnection to that. And that is why, I found this topic again very, very important to share, for you to remember and to see, yes, I already feel something that is emerging from me, from my being. And that is oftentimes already the soul calling. And sometimes you even have already followed a calling, your inner voice. Then trust that. And I invite you to continue to trust, to follow that internal world that is evolving, where you get new downloads to even more so become your grandest version, which is soul, which is your soul. Your highest self is, in essence, an embodiment also of your soul embodiment. That's why I call it like that. The soul embodiment is having soul alignment, having soul aligned and reconnection and communication, and then infusing that into your whole body, into your whole system, walking as that transmission on earth. Yeah. I hope you had some insights of that to reconnect with soul. I have also an audio course on that, all soul based. So if you seek more remembrance on that, it's very dear to my heart that you receive that remembrance and these codes to not struggle on that path, because I know sometimes we have no one around us who understands what we are going through, no one who gets it. And then we refrain from asking for help, we refrain from sharing, we refrain from even being around people. So I wish you to know that you are in a very, very potent, precious space if you are on that path of soul alignment, that it is actually a gift. Sometimes in the beginning, it doesn't feel like, when we are still in the turbulences of our own inner shadow work and the void, disorientation, confusion, questioning, depression. But in the end, it is truly a gift. Once you journey through that, once you have made through the darkest tunnel, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter in multiple senses. Yeah. And at some point, you are just very much connected in that sense that you feel like, okay, this is also my soul purpose. And I know whatever blocks inside of me are, I'm willing to work on that. There's a eagerness, even a willingness of, I'm just doing it. I'm up for it. I'm here to really face everything that stands in the way to live my highest, grandest version here in this incarnation on this planet. As always, if you have any sharings, questions, please do share them in the comments. I love reading and hearing from you, also where you are currently on your journey. If you need any further guidance also in terms of topics, please do share also your topic wishes so that I can tap into that. And we see each other in the next Love Satsang. So much love and bliss. SorayaAnanda.